So football doesn't only create stars, it creates egos as well. And sometimes the ego is what makes the player unstoppable. My name is Kudai KC, and today we're going to discuss on whether confidence and ego is necessary for a footballer to become successful, or ego is not quite necessary in this context. So there have been quite a lot of talks on footballers on whether it's necessary for them to be egotistical, and if that ego is the fuel to however they produce the results in the pitch. For example, we have Cristiano Ronaldo, who's always saying I'm the best, and we have Zlatan Ibrahimović, who said, and I quote, "Lions don't compare themselves to humans." So things like this make people seem like, maybe the players are being prideful, and once those players slip off, even in one game, then people start saying things like, oh, this is why they slipped off, because they talk too much. And we've been having issues even with Ronaldo, who sometimes posts very, controversial things that you'd probably think are not quite reasonable to be posting, especially if it's before a game. But maybe it's just him being confident in himself that he probably knows what he's doing, and he knows that even if he slips off, he can still pick himself up after a bad day in the office. But then as the fans, we don't really take it like that, because we see it as if once they start talking too much, then that is the beginning of their downfall. And for some players it is like that. Their downfall begins when they start becoming egotistical. But for some players, they continue and remain like that for the rest of their career. I mean, we have Cristiano Ronaldo, who's always bragging about how much he's done, but he's still one of the best players in the world. And we also have his direct rival, Lionel Messi, who doesn't really say much. He's a man of few words, but he's also one of the best footballers in the world. And I think, to me, it's a matter of different personalities. It's not that one player is more egotistical than the other, but it's just that maybe the other player has probably more confidence than the other, or the other player has a bigger personality than the other. And we can't all be the same. We can't all be humble people in that context, right? Some people always have to be a bit louder than others, because that's what makes us different. And God created us differently anyway, so why should we expect people to be behaving the same way? In that regard, we have players like Cole Palmer, who's always talking about chippy chips, and is very clueless most of the times when he's in press conferences. He acts like he doesn't even know a thing, and he acts like he doesn't even understand what is being said. And that's what makes him a little bit more likable, because people see him as more relatable. And then we have, philanthropists like Sadio Mane, N'Golo Kanté, who's always smiling. Those people who give their money to charity and who share their wealth with other people in other parts of the world who are less privileged. We have people like that who people relate to a bit more because they are down to earth. And I think that's what people prefer as compared to the loud and big characters, because, I think even with content creators or even with influencers, people prefer somebody who's relatable. People prefer somebody whom they can look up to and say, oh, this person is human. This person is not like behaving like a superior person, even though they are superior to the average person, because they literally earn millions of dollars, money that most of the world will probably never see until they die. So having them to behave so humanly, I think that's what makes them relatable to the common crowd, like some of us, to the fans rather. So I think it's a situation to do with them having different personalities as to them being egotistical. But maybe you might have a different opinion. What do you think about this? I don't think it's easy for somebody to remain humble and quiet, and yet they are earning millions of dollars in their bank account. I was actually talking about this with one of my friends who also supports football, and she was saying that, I think Lamine Yamal talks too much, so that is the reason why he will probably vanish a bit faster than some of his counterparts. And I was like, yeah, but this guy literally was a breadwinner at 17. So where do you expect the humility to come from? Like, he has every single right to be egotistical and arrogant, and he has all the bragging rights. He deserves them, because he's literally making so much money than most of his peers, and more money than the people that he actually goes to school with. Because who is 17 and earning $1 million a year? Who is that? There are quite a few people who are earning so much money at a very young age, and he's had the privilege to do that because he was accepted from Barcelona Academy. He's a very talented player, went on to play the Euros before he turned 18, and he's been having such a great career. So when he starts bragging, or as you might want to say, or talking about his achievements so much, he has the stats to back it up. So I think sometimes that arrogance is necessary for you to actually live up to your name, because when you come to the forefront or to press conferences or to the media saying, I'm the greatest and I believe no one else can, match up to my work ethic or to my results, and you actually have the results in the pitch to prove that, then that makes you a very credible human being. But if it's all talk and no results, then I think that's when it becomes a problem to the fans. And as fans, we are very, very, and I mean this with utmost respect, we are very, very quick to judge, and we always say things that, try to diminish a player who has said something. We have no remorse, we don't have any forgiveness whatsoever, and we are so harsh on the players who actually talk more in the media, and the players who are actually more confident. We prefer people who are gullible, we prefer people who say nothing, or we prefer people that we can push over or say whatever we want to them. And I believe that's not good. I believe we should give players, coaches the grace to say whatever they want, and to to back up whatever they are saying in the pitch. And if they have a bad day in the office, we should not be nailing them on the cross because of that, because at the end of the day, they are also human beings, and probably that arrogance that you say they have might actually be them trying to pat themselves on the back and encourage themselves to actually become better people and to actually become better players. And I think it's a situation where we should also understand that as fans, we don't really know what happens in these players' lives. Whatever they show us on screen is just like 1% or even 0.5% of their life. So whatever happens in the background, we don't know much about it. So we don't know where that ego, arrogance is stemming from. By the way, I'm not saying this to encourage players to be egotistical, to be arrogant, or to not to disregard their fans or whatsoever, or to say whatever they want to the media. No, I'm just saying we should take a look at this in a different perspective, and we should not expect everyone to be like Erling Haaland, who is just quiet and reserved but just scores like a robot or an AI machine. And we should not expect everyone to be like Lionel Messi. We shouldn't expect everyone to be like Marcus Rashford, who is just a quiet and reserved guy and just does his philanthropy work in the background. Some are very loud about their philanthropy, and some people don't like that, because they're like, if you're really doing proper philanthropy work, then why are you talking about it to the media? Why are you flaunting your wealth so much? I remember there was a time that Neymar was also criticized for having a flashy lifestyle and for flaunting his wealth, and by the time he was down bad, having a lot of injuries and facing things like that, setbacks in his football career, a lot of people were saying, oh, it's because of the way that he was flaunting his wealth, and it's because of the way that he was behaving. And sometimes I don't even think it's that. I don't even think it's karma. Not everything is karma. I just think that probably his body just got tired. Life happens. Football is a game of risk, so the more you get injured, the more your body becomes weak, so I can't really blame him or nail him on the cross to say because he was enjoying the money that he worked so hard for, then we should say that, this is the reason why he's no longer a good player, or this is the reason why he went back to Brazil and is no longer playing top flight football. I mean, come on, guys, really? So we can't really say that is a specific reason. It might be one of the reasons why, but it's not the only reason why things like this happen in life. Not everything is about karma, and not everything is about, whatever human beings think would happen to people. So yes, we should not try to find a conspiracy theory on each and every single thing that happens to people's lives. Some people can get in an accident, a normal human being can actually get in an accident or can get injured, and a humble person, as you might say, might actually get into that kind of a situation, and still, you know, it's not because of karma, or it's not because of, you know, because they were flaunting their wealth and whatever. So I think we have a big tendency as human beings to judge people who are way above us, because we think that maybe it's because of their money that they are behaving like this. And sometimes, you know, we always say this in our African community, or I don't know, maybe it's in the whole world that people say this, that you know, people are humble because they just haven't had the wealth that they are capable of acquiring. Once they have money, that humility is gonna go. And sometimes I couldn't agree anymore, or any less, whatever. But I've noticed it in a lot of situations that the only time maybe men or women are humble is when they don't have money. And once they've acquired that money that they have been working so hard for, or they have been trying to get, then the humility automatically disappeared. So we could say humility is because we don't have money. I don't know. But there are players who have so much humility. We have Cole Palmer. He gets paid a lot of money. Lionel Messi, he also gets paid a lot of money, but he doesn't really talk much about it. Sadio Mane, for example, I've named quite a lot of players who are humble on and off the pitch, and they still have lots of money in their bank accounts. So I think this confidence, ego, and arrogance thing and humility is a matter of difference in personalities, and it has nothing much to do with how much, you know, a player is egotistical or not. I'm not ruling out that fact, but I'm just saying we can't all be the same. We can't all be like Hyundai, who's just quiet and reserved and, you know, is funny when she wants. I always say this: if you don't find me funny, then you are the problem. But we can't all be funny like me, you know. We can't all be that. At the same time, not all players can be quiet and reserved players. Like they can't all be Erling Haalands. At the same time, not all players can be Cristiano Ronaldo. Not all players are capable of scoring almost 1,000 goals in their lifetime, still playing at 40 years old without getting any serious injuries. And people are just different. So I think we should take this with a little bit more grace and just mind our business as citizens, because we can never really know what happens in these people's lives. But anyways, I think that is all I had for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you like more stuff like this, please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification button. My name is Kundai KC, if I didn't already introduce myself. I have another channel called Sports Insights Global. That one is for local news, where I talk about. I have this channel and also another channel called Sports Insights Global, where I talk about local and international news on Zimbabwean players. So all sports, but Zimbabwean players specifically, and also African players sometimes. And this channel is for international news like you know, UCL, EPL, La Liga, you know. So we talk about everything that has nothing to do with my local people, nothing to do with Zimbabweans, nothing to do with Africans. This is the channel for that. And I also host lives and watch-alongs. So if you would like that, if you want us to be watching some games together, please follow me as well on this channel. And you can also follow me on Instagram, because that is where I'll be updating you which match we are going to be watching together for that week. From myself and the production team behind, goodbye.